J-O-E in the place to be. HB on the track, it's like ecstasy. Rolling a well of 7 years, what we drinking be. Trying to sling the dopest rhymes in the galaxy. Let me take a minute though and relax your mind. Sometimes these words can be hard to find. 24/7 on that daily grind. Hearing voices in my head, man, they not that kind. Cause bitches be bitching, snitches keep snitching. The world keeps turning, and I keep hitching a ride. Instead of living my life. Yo, 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 yo.
Man, when you feel hungry, don't you have to eat?
Yo, yo, pump up the volume and digest this beat.
Rapscallions in the house with this lyrical treat.
When we're done with you, you're gonna ice your feet.
If the world ends tomorrow and you had one chance,
Hey, yo, would you start the move like it's your last dance?
yo, do something small in the past or present changes.
Do something now, the future rearranges.
Cause bitches keep bitching.
Yo, snitches keep snitching.
The world keeps turning.
And you start living your life instead of hitching a ride. Rapscallions.
Let us rock and roll.
Welcome, everybody. Episode 39 of Rapping with Rapscallions. It's Marea Roja, part two, parte dos, because we got cut off last week, but you know what? You can't stop us. We got our red on. We're ready to talk about the Marea Roja. Next to me, the 0.5 of the wonderful Rapscallions team is Jose Mesquita. How you doing today, Joe?
How's it going, HB? So good to be here. So happy to be here, man, and to be able to be talking once again about the Marea Roja.
Yes.
Man, last week the freaking internet goblins, dude. They were just making life hard for us, man. They were making life hard.
Hard. We had gremlins all over the place, but that's all right. We got an hour in, and it gave us the opportunity to focus this show into something that everybody loves, and that's the red, the rojo, the Marea Roja, the Canaleros de Panama.
That's right. Así es, man. And we're going to talk about all things Marea Roja. So to those of you out there listening, man, first and foremost, there's so much information, so much history about the Marea Roja, about our national football team, our pride and joy. So we're going to try and do a history of it, of organized football in Panama. Hey, if you guys want to share info with us, let us know, man, because, you know, we might say something that we don't mean to say, but we'll say it. So then you can let us know, like, hey guys, I think it's more like this rather than like that. So we'll accept that, because you know what, HB, we're humans. We're not perfect.
We're humans. We're not robots. We dance it, but we're not robots.
We're not robots, not at all. But we can be if we dance.
If that's what the Rapscallions wants, if that's what the Famscallions wants, that's what the Famscallions gets.
We'll do so much robot.
And you know what? You can chime in and let us know. Guess what's coming up in 2022? If you want to, hey, who are you looking for? Who do you want to be on the team in 2022?
Any potential players that are coming up in the future that maybe we haven't heard of?
Yeah.
That are on the up and up. Let us know, man. Let us know
in the comments. Hey, Joe.
What's up, man?
Have you ordered your Rapscallions t-shirt yet?
Man, HB, I have ordered my Rapscallions t-shirt.
And where did you order it from?
I ordered it from littlebrowndog.aviation.com. They have our core range of Rapscallions merch.
Beautiful.
Core range. And you know what? I think it's selling out fast, HB.
Yeah, you guys better get on there. You better.
Fast. So if people don't act now, man, you guys are going to miss out on the t-shirts.
You're going to miss out.
Tote bags.
Mobile
phone protectors.
Get your phone. Oh, what if I had my Rapscallions protector on there? Would have been a lot better. The easiest way to find that stuff is going to www.panamarp.com. That stands for Panama Rapscallions Production. It can also, in case you have a very, very horrible memory, it can stand for Panama Republic of Panama.com.
That's right. The country that we all love and where we live and thrive.
We love
and live and thrive. And HB, I just got to say one thing, since we've been talking about Little Brown Dog Aviation.
Yes,
I want to give a quick shout out to Luke Robertson.
Here we go.
Luke Robertson, man, he's been a great supporter of Rapscallions from the very beginning. Not only is he the owner of Little Brown Dog Aviation, but he is also a financial advisor, HB. One of the best around. And, you know, sometimes I'm thinking like, HB, I might have a kid in the future. You know what I'm saying? And when I have a kid, I want that kid to go to the best college possible. And I'm only going to be able to make that happen if I plan.
You got to plan, dude.
Got to plan ahead. So, hey, people got to get in touch with Luke Robertson, financial advisor. He will help you to prepare for your family vacations. He'll help you to prepare for your kids' college. He'll help you to prepare for your own college as well if you want to take your own courses. Because you know what? We got to keep developing in life, HB. We got to keep learning.
Right.
And we can only do that with a true financial advisor like Luke Robertson. You guys can get in touch with him at 757-481-0023 or also hollering at him via email at luke.robertson@edwardjones.com. There you have it.
Well
folks.
said.
Luke Robertson.
Well said, my friend. And you know what? Another thing you can do is you can scroll down and you can check out when Luke Robertson was on our show. And we talked all about when he was in the Navy flying supersonic jet planes. My goodness. Oh,
Supersonic jet planes, man. If that's not a dude you can trust, then I don't know who is.
that's right. It's like, you know, if you look at your friend and they ask to borrow your car, you look at him, he's like, no, man, that guy's going to mess up my car. They gave this guy a key to a jet and he flew it. That's trust.
No doubt.
All right, so check him out. Also, you know, PanamaRP.com. Let's jump in, Joe. Marea, the tide waits for no one. So tell me about your week. First and foremost, the weekly Rapping with Rapscallions weekly wrap up.
Oh man, the weekly wrap up, HB, man. This week has been I failed you. I have failed you, and I have failed all of our fam scallions. I'm sorry.
Joe, what's going on?
I promised you guys I was gonna keep working out,
Oh,
and I didn't work out at all this week. I couldn't do it. I don't know what happened to me. I lost my motivation. I'm so sorry.
that's all right. That's more for the fam scallions to hug.
I'm so sorry. But I promise you that I'm gonna get back on it this week. But I just needed to get that off my chest.
We need you in
Other
tip-top
than
shape
that-
for Qatar 2022.
I know, man. I gotta go. We gotta represent. But other than that, it's been an all right week, man. Back at work, you know, catching up on emails, all that stuff. You know, typical stuff. People are always like, hey, man, take care of yourself. Go on vacation. And then when you come back from vacation, hey, man, answer all these emails that you got while you were away, fool. So I was like, oh, man.
God.
All right.
Difficult.
But, you know, other than that, I just tried to keep it moving. So I answered my emails. I made it through Thursday. And then finally, it was only a 3-day week. So 4-day week. So 4-day week. And then boom, I made it to Friday. And I'm good. I'm happy to be here with you. Happy to be talking about the Marea Roja. Because, you know, we all love the Marea Roja. So yeah, man, I can't complain. Shout out to Chechi, who's on Instagram. I can see him. He's just joined. What's up, Chechi?
Shout out to Bob Peterson. He's tuned in. He's got a comment about Marea Roja, but we're going to save that for when we get to that part of it.
Oh, yeah.
If you're out there watching, please give us a shout out. We want to hear who's out there.
We want to hear it all. What about you, HB? What's your week been like, my friend? Tell me.
Well, I had a good week, but I want to give a shout out to someone. I found out yesterday they'd passed away, and this is a national treasure of Panama. Victor Vitimpas passed away. He's probably one of the finest trumpet players in the world. Just to quickly go over, if you've never heard of him, just to quickly go over who he played with. He's played with Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Dizzy Gillespie, Sammy Davis Jr., Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder, Diane Warwick, Diana Ross, Count Basie, Benny Goodman, Ray Charles, Lionel Hampton, Ella Fitzgerald, Henny Mancini, Johnny Mathis, and many, many more. And you say, oh, those are all U.S. stars. So you say, okay, how about Latin stars? How about Celia Cruz, Daniel Santos, Ismael Rivera, Eli Palmieri, Rolando Seria, Tito Rodriguez, Fania All-Stars, and the list goes on and on and on. Julio Iglesias. Say, okay, that's the Latin scene, right? Well, what about Broadway? He played on Broadway in Barnum, Cabaret, Cats, Raisins in the Sun, Guys and Dolls, Sgt. Pepper, Liza Minnelli, The Act, and with Marlene Dietrich. If you never heard of him, the guy's probably one of the finest trumpet players ever. I had the unique experience of being able to see him play at one of the jazz festivals. You know, as an actor, you know, not much money. So my friend Mariela got me a press pass so that I could sneak into all the events with my little press pass. So at the National Theater, I was walking up the stairs to go and sit at the back with the Phantom of the Opera. But she ran into the ambassador from Germany, and he's like, I've got 2 extra tickets. My guest didn't show up. Do you want to sit with me in the 3rd row? So we went to the 3rd row, and For me I played trumpet for 12 years in high school and junior high. So for me to be able to see Vitín play, well, I was just completely stoked, completely starstruck. It was amazing.
Sounds really amazing.
And he was old. This was in 2011. They brought him out, and he's an old guy. They had to help him walk, and his students. He was a teacher by that time. His students helped him walk, and he's a stubborn guy, probably like I would be, in a couple of years. And he kind of sits down and bats him off like, get out of here, So I was like, oh man, I hope I don't get disappointed by hearing this guy play. Maybe he's a little too old. I should get my expectations up. The guy lifted the trumpet to his face like this. He lifted it, put it the mouthpiece to his mouth, and he just played. And the only way that I can describe it is that he played with wisdom.
All right.
Every note was perfect, but not so perfect that it was robotic. It had a nice feeling and flow to it. So that's one of the high points in my life. So I want to give a shout out to Victor Vitín Paz.
For sure.
Passed away yesterday.
Rest in peace.
And later on in that event, the president and the first wife gave him a medal and named him the Master Trumpeter of Panama.
Wow.
So I was very, very glad that I could be there to experience that. So hugs to his family, his students, his friends, and rest in peace, Vitín.
For sure, man. Well said.
I need a little sip. I'm a little verklempt.
Well said. Hey, have you sip, man. Have you sip for Vitín, man. Truly a legend if there ever was one, man. That's really incredible. Really good stuff to hear. All the things he accomplished, all the people he played with, all the lives he touched with his music, man. Yeah.
And, and he was a teacher. So all the up and coming trumpet players and musicians, to be able to be trained. Imagine if you got trained to play the trumpet by Louis Armstrong or Dizzy Gillespie or Miles Davis, that's the level this guy was on.
That's really incredible. And I think just on that, do you think that even in today's day and age, do you think a lot of our musicians, our artists get that recognition that they deserve?
I think it's hard these days, it's kind of weird because I think this is going to combine with what we're talking about today about soccer. It's an unpopular viewpoint, but a lot of the artists and a lot of the baseball players in Panama got recognition because of the presence of the United States here in Panama.
Mm-hmm.
So there was more people to go out to nightclubs, and there was more places to play.
Yeah.
And to create that type of culture, there has to be an audience.
Yeah.
And as you and I know, we've acted with people on stage, and if you want to make it, you got to go overseas. There's no way you can make it in Panama.
Yeah.
So essentially, music, sports, that's the cultural identity of a country. And if you don't support that, there's no culture.
No, very true, very true. And I think it's one of those things that's very unfortunate that you have to, say, if you really want to make it to a level where you receive that recognition, you have to do a lot of the work on your own and build yourself up independently. And then that's when usually, at least here, it feels, when the country will take notice and kind of be like, hey, at least it happens with sports figures. Like, hey, I want to represent Panama in the Olympics. Here's a jacket.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. It's. Imagine, Vitín Victor Paz. His dad was a trumpet player in the Bomberos, and he was a trumpet teacher, and his mom was a teacher and a pianist. So he had the environment to flourish.
Right.
And when people heard him play, they took him with them. He went off to Venezuela and New York, and played here in Panama. And
yeah,
I'm not sure if there's that type of environment anymore for a musician to flourish. But let's move on to soccer, my friend.
Let's move on to soccer. Soccer, which is what we're here to talk about, though.
Yeah.
Soccer.
So Bob Pedersen had made a statement about the Marea Roja. He said, Panama lacks stamina and endurance, need to pick up on leg work.
A lot of people have said that. They've seen that the Panamanian football players are lazy. And after a while, they're just like, we're not winning. I don't want to I don't want to do it anymore. I've heard that so much, man. So much throughout the years that they have this mentality where they always feel that los perseguidos, las víctimas, that someone's always out to get them.
Yeah. It's a common trait in South America, I think. There's always someone to blame.
We'll talk about that later on because there have been a lot of moments in Panamanian soccer history where we've always blamed someone.
Yeah.
Something or someone or a situation. But yeah, very valid point. Very, very, very valid point.
Another shout out, Joe. Ralph Furlong is tuned in. He's ribbing our buddy Bob Pedersen, who has a unique Facebook picture. He says Bob Pedersen is Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, wow.
That goes hand in hand with sports too, where you rib your buddies, you know?
That's right, man. And speaking of ribbing, HB, so you know that there were World Cup qualifiers going on last week, and Panama played two qualifiers, one against Barbados that we suffered through to get the 1-0 victory, and then one against Dominica, which we won.
Which we suffered through because of the internet.
That's which we suffered through, and Panama ultimately won 2-1, right?
Nice.
So it's always good to get the 2 points. The 6 points that you get from winning the matches, but the public wanted more. The people in Panama wanted goleadas. They wanted us to dismantle these teams, which I would expect us to do, considering that these are like, I guess, minnows compared to the powerhouse that is Panama.
Panama, who scored 1 goal in the Copa Mundial.
No, he scored 2 goals.
2. Oh, smack. We got another shout out here and another interesting fact. Captain Andy's tuned in. What's up, Capitan? He also did a show, so scroll down for that one. He says Ralph was also a pro soccer scout, and he built the expanded Panama Canal. Wow. Some more ribbing. he did it by himself, like John Henry, you know.
He had a sledgehammer, or a pickaxe, rather.
Pickaxe.
So yeah, there you go, man. So the people were upset. They're like, "Hey, man, we're sucking. Why can't we beat these guys?" And then the new coach, Thomas Christensen, he says, "Hey guys, we won. Normally that's
He's
what people want, right?"
a Latin Dane, right?
He's a Latin Dane who has like an incredibly remarkable history, man. He's coached teams like Leeds United in the UK, man.
Did you have any background on him? Tell us what's our new coach all about, man.
Let me tell you. Sorry, I didn't prep anything on him, but hey, there's nothing that
just off the top of your head.
Search.
So he's
this guy. He was born in Denmark.
Panama. Born in Denmark.
He was born in Denmark. Throughout his career, just let me tell you where he has played. Okay, he has played for the Barcelona B team. He's played for Barcelona. He's played for Sporting Gijón, Osasuna, Racing de Santander, Oviedo, Villarreal. These are all teams in Spain. He's played for Hanover 96. He's coached, and I think he had his big breakthrough in Germany, where he just scored like a buttload of goals, man. This guy scored like a ton of goals, and he was something. He was somebody.
What's the Latin American element? Where does that come from?
So
why do they call him the Latin Dane?
Because I think it's because that he also has a sort of like his mother is Spanish.
Ah, okay.
So she gives him that like Iberian sort of Spanish flavor.
I was hoping for some Spanish Panama influence there.
No. He's not Panamanian in any way, but his mother's Spanish.
He will be when he takes us to the World Cup.
Oh, when we win the World Cup.
When we win the World Cup.
So he's played for the Spanish national team under 21, and he was also called up by the Spanish team, it seems, in 1993, my friend. He was called up by the Spanish national team, and some teams he's coached. He's coached AEK Larnaca, that's in Cyprus. He's coached Leeds United. He's coached Union Saint Gilloise. I think I said that correctly. That's a football club in Brussels. And then he went to the Panamanian national team, man.
Nice.
And now he's our coach. And he seems like a guy who really knows what he's doing. I mean,
When was he named? And what are the time frames
On
here?
the
Was he,
23rd of July, 2020. He
Okay.
replaced, remember before him, we had a guy called Americo Gallego, who was an Argentinian guy. He played for the Argentinian national team. And I think he actually also won the World Cup with Argentina. He did in 1978. So I think people had high hopes for Americo Gallego. From what I understand, in the FEPA food, they were like, Panama has to have an Argentinian coach. So they were really keen to have an Argentinian coach Panama. And Americo came along. He had taken a hiatus from coaching in 2015. So he came back to Panama in 2019, to replace the so popular Hernan Bolillo Gomez, who took us to the World Cup. After Hernan Bolillo Gomez, we had Gary Stemple for a while. We'll talk about Gary Stemple later on. He was an interim manager, done a lot of great things for Panamanian football. And then also Julio de Livardes was around, but then ultimately they chose Americo Gallego, who had a terrible time, didn't do much, and was given the boot during the pandemic and replaced by Thomas Christensen. Apparently, Thomas Christensen went to a panel which had included Jaime Penedo. So there was a lot of people were studying to see who would be the next Panamanian coach. They were trying to put some conscious effort into it, and Thomas Christensen won. El Mister Christensen.
how long has he been the coach? It's just recent, right?
Yeah. Since July 2020, man, less than a year.
Wow.
So there you go, man. There you go. I mean, I think you got to give him a shot, right? I mean, we won the games. I mean, who do we think we are to think that we should be destroying teams?
Yeah. Well, well, maybe it's better that Panama's starting to demand more, instead of hoping for a tie, which is what we usually do,
True.
If we just get a tie,
Or somebody scores against us in the 80th minute. Y se forma el tiembla, which is what usually happens from the 80th to the 90th minute. It's like, oh my God, what do we do?
The 88th minute. It's like, oh, let's give up.
Let's give up. Life sucks. Ugh. So yeah, so that's our coach, man. That's our coach. And yeah, that's the man with the plan who will guide us into hopefully Qatar in December 2022.
So, we've talked about the coach, but let's go back, man.
Let's go back in time.
Let's go back in time. Gotta go back in time.
Let's go back in time. We can do a quick recap, I guess, of Panama in the early days of Panamanian football.
I think you've also in the way back, you also did a quiz, right?
I did actually. Thank you for reminding me. So this past week, we had some quizzes going around the interwebs, man. We had three questions.
Three very simple questions. Look, and let me go over the instructions for you people out there. And this is sometimes you got to give some tough love to people. You know what I'm saying?
Tell them.
Like fam scallions, I want you to listen to me.
Listen.
If we put a damn quiz in a story, is that what they call stories? If we put it in a live, if we put a quiz in the live, and you have the options, press the button. Don't write us privately and give the answer. Press the button there so that we can create the community. Okay, tough love over. I'm sorry.
Hey, because it's all about creating communities, man.
Sorry, I had to get stern. I apologize.
But thank you for doing that, because I think people respond to tough love.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about. So I'm just gonna really quickly, HB, talk about the three very simple questions.
It's this simple.
That we gave.
Press the damn button.
Press the button. So the first question, HB, was which World Cup invite did Panama turn down? And the options were Italy 1990, Brazil 2014, Uruguay 1930, or England 1966. Very simple. And the answer to that one was Uruguay 1930.
Yes. So we had a correct answer to someone who pressed the damn button.
That's
Anthony
right.
Bebo picked
go.
the right question or answered the question properly. Uruguay.
Right.
Now, what's the history on? Because I didn't know about that until you showed me all your extensive research.
Well, the thing is, so Panama actually started getting their act together when it came to football in around the 1920s. And I think when this idea rolled around of having this World Cup, the first World Cup in 1930, Uruguay was like, yo, Panama, I mean, you're a big deal. You have a canal and the likes. So why don't you guys come down here and play? And then, we were already organized at the time, but the powers that be were like, sorry, we're not going to go play in your stupid, sorry World Cup.
Oh, that's they're like Uruguay. Son de qué eso? Uruguay.
Yeah. ¿Quién se cree?
Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Uruguay, are you bothering me?
Hey man, so we didn't go. Could you imagine if we would have gone?
I think the soccer in Panama would have been completely different had Panama showed up to the first World Cup. It would have been part of the culture. I think the way we think about it now, baseball has always been the national sport.
Yeah. But imagine if we would have participated in that World Cup.
So, I mean, when did the World Cup really take grasp? When did it really become the juggernaut that it is today? I mean,
well, I remember a lot of even in the if we're talking 1930s, which is when it started. Think about the World Cup in 1966 that England won. It was already a big deal in 1966. It was already something that countries wanted to win. They looked forward to it. I want to say maybe potentially after World War II, maybe in the 50s. Because I know that so Uruguay hosted the first one in 1930. And then afterwards, there was another World Cup in 1934, which was, I think it was hosted by, who hosted that one? Hold on, give me a second. This one was in Europe. Italy hosted this one in 1934. And in that one, very few South American teams wanted to travel to Europe for that World Cup.
Of course, because most people were leaving Europe at that time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then they had that one. Then in 1938, they had another World Cup, which was held in France, if I'm not mistaken. Italy was defending its title from the 1934 World Cup, but a lot of people were like, Italy only won that World Cup because it was in Italy, and there was a lot of corruption and stuff and blah. But anyways, so 1938, it was held in France. Italy was defending the title. Then after 1938, you had the next World Cup take place in 1950. So this was a long time.
Oh, the 42. The 42 was planned to take place in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that one got...
It got... Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the 1946 competition didn't take place either.
Okay.
And then finally, 1950, you had the World Cup in Brazil. And from there, I think it's just become just like a big thing. And Uruguay won that one. Uruguay now, it's funny because Uruguay now is going back to being, or over the past couple of years, they've gone back to be like a really, really great footballing nations. But they won the tournament defeating Brazil in the game that was called the Maracanazo. You know how people talk about the Maracanazo all the time?
Yeah, that's where that comes from.
That's from where that comes from. It was when Uruguay beat Brazil in the 1950 World Cup final, and it translates to the agony of the Maracanã.
So the Maracanã is the stadium in Brazil.
Yeah.
So here in Panama, we also have a new stadium that's also called the Maracanã. But the reason for that naming is very interesting. Like the kids from Chorillo would play before there was a stadium there. They would play on this piece of dirt, but it was an inside joke. It's like, we're playing the Maracanã, but they're actually playing in a dirt field in Chorillo with two 2-liter bottles marking the goals.
Yeah.
When they did eventually build the stadium there, they kept that name Maracanã.
That's really nice, man. It's like a nice homage to the history of the area. I remember once I heard somebody wrote something on Facebook or something complaining about why do we have to call it the Maracanã? Why can't we be original? Blah 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 blah. But they didn't know the story.
Because the little chorilleros were playing, and in their mind, they're like, "Hey, we're not playing in Chorillo. We're playing the Maracanã," which to them was the best place you could play, which is in Brazil.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. That's really special. That's a nice touch, man.
Captain Andy asks, why did they turn down the invitation? Well, we're just guessing, but I think it's because they thought, why are we going to bother with? It wasn't known back then. They didn't want to participate in the first one, I guess.
I mean, that's the only information I could find. I didn't find out any information on why it was turned down. It was just that the president at the time was a person by the name of Nesín Ramos, and he received a formal invitation from the Uruguay Football Association, and they were just like, "Oh man."
I sent it to the research department. Let's see if they can come up with anything good. We'll get back to you. We made it to the 50s of the Mundiales. Where did Panama start picking up? So the World Cup started getting on the global map a little bit in the late 30s, nothing in the 40s because of World War II. And in the 50s, it started getting big.
Yeah. And then I guess in Panama during that time, Panama had actually won in the 50s its first international award when we organized and won the 5th Central American and Caribbean Soccer Championship in 1951. And with that, we qualified for the first ever Pan American Football Championship, which was held in 1952 in Chile. I don't think that's not played anymore, the Pan American Football Championship. But we qualified for that. It was a big deal at the time. Then in the 60s, Panama played in the first phase of the first CONCACAF Nations Championship in 1963 in El Salvador. And we drew with El Salvador 1-1 and also against Guatemala 2-2. We then went on to lose to Honduras 1-0. Honduras always makes it hard for us for some reason. They always do.
So looking at some of this history from the research department, they said even though Panama wasn't part of the FIFA, so that's point number one why they turned down that invitation. La Liga Nacional de Fútbol, presidido por Nesín Ramos, he was the president of the Panamanian Football League at the time. He received the invitation from Uruguay to participate, and unfortunately, he declined the invitation. So we haven't been able to find any concrete reason why we turned that down.
I mean, for all we know, maybe he was just like, I don't have time for this.
Maybe he didn't even read the letter. Maybe he
didn't read the letter.
Uruguay qué? Uruguay what? No.
Or maybe there was maybe they didn't have any money.
Maybe they didn't have any money.
Well,
that hasn't stopped us from sending our players
other
sporting events. That's never been a problem. We never spend money on our football player.
No. That's right, man. That's right. So HB, then moving into the 70s, we won the gold medal in the Juegos Bolivarianos in 1970 in Maracaibo, and also in 1973 in Panama, which is pretty cool. During those games, we beat we beat the Peru national team, and we beat the Bolivia national team for the first time ever. I always think it's pretty cool when Panama manages to beat some South American opponents, just because South America, I feel, is so much more advanced in football than Central America when you think about the quality of players that they have over there, right?
I think also that we're getting into the time frame because it's imagine if you're someone from Italy and has to think about when their national team became a good team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a double-edged sword. In our own lifetimes, we've been able to see the formation of our national team.
That's right.
I think that the 70s is kind of when the momentum started to get rolling. This is the first time that we had a team that started beating people, and a little bit more interest was given to soccer as opposed to basketball or baseball.
Baseball, boxing even, because remember, all of these sports had so much more of an importance compared to soccer.
I posit, and I am a Panamanian, I'm also Zonian, but I think it's because of the U.S. influence in Panama.
Yeah, most likely. Because if you think about it as well, how long would it take the U.S. to actually become competent in soccer?
2050. You got a ways to go.
But if you think about it, I remember it wasn't until so the U.S. hosted the World Cup in 94.
Yeah.
And they qualified for it. I'm not very fluent in the history of the U.S. in the World Cup before that, but I think it was in the 1994 World Cup when, the sports figures in the U.S. were finally like, yo, we want to be good. And I remember growing up in the States during that time, like a lot of money was being invested in kids, like grassroots soccer clubs and things, and Nike.
Is that I think soccer had always been an after-school sport because it's good for little kids. It's not contact sport like, well, I mean, at the professional level, you're
Yeah.
more likely to get an injury playing soccer or baseball statistically than you are playing American football, which is an interesting stat. But
Really? I didn't know that.
yeah, so you have a low impact sport for kids. So you know the term soccer moms with their minivans. So
Yeah.
there was a presence of soccer in the U.S. probably starting in the 80s, but it never really took root. And I think that there was a better U.S. presence of soccer like back in the 30s.
Right.
And and then
Well, I guess in the 30s, you had a lot of immigrants coming in from Europe, right? And they were bringing along their love for the sport to the U.S. But then if you think about the 70s and the 80s in the U.S., you had the National American Soccer League, the NASL, which had incredible teams. I mean, well, you had the New York Cosmos for one, which was a super well-known team, and had people like Pelé, of course, in the tail end of his career. But you had Pelé playing for the New York Cosmos. And I think the Cosmos still plays. I think they're in the second tier of the current U.S. soccer pyramid. But, it's very interesting to think that you would have such a grand figure as Pelé playing football in your league, but still not be able to make it.
There's been a lot of questions about why even MLS, Major League Soccer, why hasn't it taken off? Why didn't that take off back then the way that NBA, Major League Baseball, and NFL has taken off? And a lot of people said because there's no commercial breaks. And I don't know. I think it's just a major goof on the stupid old white men that control the television station.
Yeah. Hey, I was really excited when the MLS started. I was really excited. I remember being there in the U.S. for the inaugural season, and I was like, "Oh my God, Major League Soccer!" I was very sad that Miami didn't have a team at the time, but Tampa had a team with Carlos Valderrama, and
I met him at the airport a few times.
Oh, because you were in Tampa, right?
Yeah. Tampa was a good place to live. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were kind of up and coming. The Lightning were winning. The Devil Rays were winning. But MLS, they were doing really well. And they won. I think they won 3 back-to-back, and the stadium was empty.
Nobody went.
Nobody went.
Man.
Which is kind of like what Panama was back then.
Yeah, true.
I want to take a step back, man. You mentioned Pelé, which when I grew up playing soccer, everybody wanted to be Pelé.
Yeah.
Did you? There was a movie that came out a few years ago, but then there's a documentary that came out, I think this past year.
The documentary was amazing. Yes, I finished watching it last week.
Oh, incredible!
I didn't really realize what a wonderful player, how much of a wonderful player he was until I saw that documentary. It's on Netflix, FYI, for those of you that want to see it.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that tonight. That's been on my to watch list, but unfortunately, I haven't seen it yet. And there's also he was in a movie about soccer players that were prisoners of war with Sylvester Stallone. What was that?
Michael Caine. He had Michael Caine in that movie as well. What was it called?
I watched that movie so much when I was a little kid.
It was called Victory.
Was it called Victory?
I think it was called Victory, yeah.
Let me look it up.
Escape to Victory or something. Victory.
Yeah. Of course, they weren't allowed to do anything they wanted because of the stupid Nazi guys, and it was a cheesy but very fun movie.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. I've watched that movie several times, and I mean, and you think with movies like this, you would think people would be just killing to play soccer, to watch soccer, to just like do something related to soccer, but I don't know. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I just remember in the States coming up that people were like, "Oh, why do you want to play soccer? Why are you so scared? You should be playing football or another more contacty sport where you can get yourself smacked around." I was like, "Yeah, okay."
It's so weird, huh? I haven't been able to crack that nut on why it didn't pick up in the U.S.
I have no idea, man. But I guess, MLS now, taking a slight detour from talking about Panama, but, a lot of Panamanian players have played in the MLS.
We got one now. Kentucky, what?
Kentucky.
All right, I got to look it up.
His name's Kentucky?
No, he plays for one of the MLS
Oh,
teams.
Aníbal Godoy. He plays for Nashville.
Nashville. That's it.
And before that, he used to play. He's actually had a pretty decent career. I think before that, he used to play for San Jose. The San Jose Quakes, I think. And we had Roman Torres. Penedo played for the Los Angeles Galaxy, man. And he played there when Beckham was playing there. So that must have been a trip for him. And he won the MLS Cup with the Galaxy. Roman Torres won the MLS Cup twice with the Seattle Sounders. Remember, he scored the same year he scored the goal that qualified us to the World Cup. He scored the winning penalty kick for Seattle to win the MLS Cup. What a wonderful year, right?
Yeah, right? Dueño del equipo, David Beckham. What's that?
He's the owner of Inter Miami.
Seattle Sounders?
No. David Beckham is now he's one of the co-owners of Inter Miami CF, which is a team I support because, having lived in Miami, that's my team. But I think they have a little bit of I think their expectations are very high because they're expecting to win the title now, even though the team started last year. And you're just kind of like, come on.
It's like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit.
Roman Torres was on Inter Miami for like 2 months, and then they sent him back to Seattle.
Oh.
Yeah, and now he's playing in Guatemala, I think. There was a lot of controversy with Roman Torres because apparently Thomas Christensen called him up to be in these last couple of rounds of World Cup qualifiers, and Roman Torres was like, am I going to play? And Thomas Christensen was all like, I can't promise you that. And then Roman Torres was all like, then I don't want to go. But then Roman Torres was all like, that's not what happened. But Thomas Christensen mentioned this in a press conference. So people have been like, what's going on? Why are people airing out their dirty laundry in front of the media, yo?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Keep that shit in the dressing room.
I know, man. Don't come on. Who knows, man? And then Armando Cooper played for the Toronto FC, which was also a fantastic team. And he won an MLS Cup the year after Roman Torres won his first MLS Cup. And he almost scored, dude. He almost scored. That was such a fantastic team, that Toronto team. They had Giovinco, this Italian guy who was on there in his prime. They had Josie Altidore. They had the Spanish guy. They had Michael Bradley. Such an amazing team. And they won in 2018. And then I forgot who won it afterwards. But the MLS is becoming like, I myself prefer watching the MLS once it starts getting into the playoffs, because that's when it gets a bit more exciting. And I remember just in that one, when Seattle won, there was a game that ended like 5-4. It was like goals galore, man. So you're just like, oh my God, all these goals.
How do you compare that playoff season to maybe a Champions League or something like that?
That's the thing. You can't really, I think in theory, you should be able to put MLS teams against European teams. But I think the difference in quality, because all the like top players want to play in Europe,
right?
And then the top players, when they're in Europe, they'll be like, I'm going to go play in the MLS now. And then they go play in the MLS when they're like in their late 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. I don't know. So I think they're trying to change it so that it no longer looks or feels like a retirement league.
Right.
But actually a competitive league. But if you look at Inter Miami,
if you have someone like Beckham owning a team in the U.S., it's because there's no way to break into the league system in Europe. That shit's been locked up for years, right?
It has been. But actually, a lot of Americans are purchasing teams in the UK. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm having a small situation. I'll be right back.
All right. So as we were talking before, we're comparing and contrasting how the United States has been moving along, because most people are fans of European soccer teams. We're talking a little bit about some of the players that have played in MLS. I know a lot of the Sub-20 who we're looking at towards 2022. There's a few of them playing in MLS, but most of them play in South America. There's a Peruvian league. A few people are playing for leagues in Brazil and Paraguay. Are you back, my friend?
I'm back. Sorry, we had Mo was locked in a
Sit.
room, and he
Oh my.
couldn't open the door. Because he's not like a velociraptor yet, so he hasn't learned to open doors.
So we talked a little bit about football, but let's talk about the evolution of Mo's hands. Is he going to get opposable thumbs?
I'm hoping that in the next couple of years.
Mo is Joe's beautiful Scottish Terrier.
Thank you so much. Yes, he is beautiful. I'm hoping in the next couple of years he learns to open doors.
Does he have thumbs?
It's getting there. It's getting there.
So now it's kind of like stuck on the side.
Yeah.
He's got to do the thumb yoga.
I inject him with steroids every morning. And I'm hoping that will enhance his thumb.
Did you get the resequenced DNA that I sent you?
No, I haven't. You must send it again. It got lost in DHL. Flete Chavales.
Flete Chavales. Can't count on those guys. Oh, future sponsors, Flete Chavales. You can always count on them.
You can always count on them. We love Fletes Chavales.
Love Fletes.
Yeah, man. So I don't know, but yeah, MLS, man. I think it's exciting. I think it's cool. I think it really depends. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's entertaining, I guess, especially if you have a team that you want to support for some reason.
Yeah.
And they're building really good fan bases. Like Atlanta United has a fantastic fan base. You know, people are really excited to get behind them. The stadium is always full. Seattle, Portland, the Portland Timbers also have a really, strong fan base. I don't know if any of our listeners are MLS supporters and they have a team and they go to the matches. Let us know.
If you guys are fans of MLS or just let us know. We're trying to talk about Panamanian players that play in different leagues. So if you got a MLS team that you're behind, let us know in the comments. Also, just let us know who your favorite team is besides the Marea Roja.
That's right. And speaking of Marea Roja, Gabby Torres. Well, first of all, Blas Perez, another super famous Panamanian player, played for Dallas FC for a while. Then he went and played for the Montreal Impact. And then he's retired now. Gavi Torres, one of our current star forwards in the national team, he's had a very interesting career in that he's bounced around a lot from different teams. Super talented striker. I mean, I think we've seen what he's capable of.
Sure.
But did you know he had a trial with Manchester United, dude?
Really? Did he get any starts? What happened there? What's going on?
I guess he just one of the things that people have always told me. I've spoken to so many people about this, people that have played in the Panamanian leagues, people that have coached in the Panamanian leagues, people that know someone who knows someone who's played in the Panamanian leagues. And I think that the mentality for Panamanian players, and these are older players than Gavi Torres because he's still pretty young, but older players, going back to the generations of the players that were playing in the 2000s, which is when I think, we were speaking about this earlier, that football really took a step forward in Panama in terms of popularity and all that. Panamanian players weren't used to playing abroad, so they were very used to their home comforts.
But there's also some interesting anecdotes about taking the Cholito to the United States.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think
there's stories about how they would go and pee on the side of the field in like Washington D.C.
What?
Yeah.
They're like, normal, profe, así lo hacemos en casa.
Hey, in Panama?
Yeah.
Now, you seem to know a lot about soccer, but I want to let the Fam Scallions know who are some of these people that you converse with that are knowledgeable about this Panamanian soccer situation.
Oh, man. Well, I've been fortunate enough to have some conversations with Gary Stemple, who we all know, who is like massively influential figure in Panamanian football. I mean, qualified Panama to its first ever under-21 World Cup in 2003.
Yeah.
Won the very first ever international trophy for Panama in the 2009 Central American Cup. Has been manager of the national team several times. I can't say enough good things about this guy, man. I think, he really came in with a mentality of wanting to help young players develop, not just soccer-wise, but also, like mentally. Because when you're a top athlete, you have to, not only perform on the court but off the court. You have to behave in a certain way. You have to be educated. So
how to have a professional mindset.
That's right. And I think it's one of those things that he really kind of, from when he started working here, once he came back from the UK, he was really trying to make a positive influence.
Give us a little history about Gary then.
Well, just okay. So he was born. So he was born in Panama, right? Then he went back to England because his mother's English. He lived in London and he was doing physical education and stuff, and then started working for Millwall FC, which is a football club in the UK. And so he was like, so he started doing this, and then I think he felt the yearning, the calling to kind of come back to Panama, because then when he was working in Millwall, he was doing sort of like community projects and stuff and things like that, just to help, the younger players. So he came back to Panama and he set up soccer schools. He was really trying to set up a similar type of program. He was coaching at the US bases. He became manager of the old Panama Viejo team at the time, and he won the league. And from there, he's just been like doing a lot of different things with the Panamanian Football Federation, running trials, coaching, just really developing kids. As I mentioned earlier, he took the under-20s to their first ever World Cup, United Arab Emirates, in 2003. First time any Panamanian team had ever been to the World Cup. He's been the coach of the under-17s dozens of times. 2009, he won the Copa Centroamericana, our first ever international tournament. So, I mean, this is someone who's, considering when he came into the game here, it was a period of development for a lot of the players that we enjoyed watching in the early 2000s. So from your Jaime Penedos to your Jose Luis Garces, perhaps one of the most talented players ever to never really reach his full potential. Luis Tejada, who scored that famous Chilena, another one of the questions that I asked.
Did anyone answer that question correctly?
There were a couple people, but, I think people were getting confused. Luis Tejada scored the epic Chilena against Mexico in the Rommel Fernandez before it was remodeled, and it just brought the place down. Gaby Torres also worked with him as well. So, and I think that's one of the reasons, because remember when the national team went to Russia, they had special invitations for certain people. He was one of the people that went to Russia, as well as Julio Valdez y Jorge Deli Valdez. And I think it was just sort of like as a recognition for all the efforts and work they put in to help the national team advance to where it is now.
Sure.
And he was also awarded a medal, an MBE by the British government, member of the British Empire, for all of his work in Panama, for his efforts in the community, to like help kids, develop in the sport, and just all those great things. So
does that makes him a knight or no? Or he's just a member?
No, I know people call him Sir Gary as de cariño, but he's actually he should write his name Gary Semple, MBE.
MBE. Okay. Well, those of you just tuning in, we're talking about Gary Stemple and his influence on Panama soccer, which has been huge.
Yeah, Roman Torres, another player that came up from, that he was looking after, or just kind of coaching. Blas Perez, and all these people say, like he helped us to grow. Felipe Valoy as well. Another, who doesn't know Felipe Valoy?
Huge.
Huge, man, huge. But yeah, I guess so. One of the stories I heard, and this one wasn't from Gary, it was from somebody else, whose name I'm not going to say. They were telling me that Patón.
Chat it to me. I want to know, man.
Patón. This was an old friend of mine that played for Panama Viejo for a little bit. He said that Patón Phillips, he was actually, you remember Ricardo Phillips, Patón Phillips scored an epic goal against Colombia in the 2005 Gold Cup. He was actually signed by the New England Revolution of the MLS way back when. And they took him. To the U.S., man. And he was over there, and he was just like, nah, man, I can't be here. I miss my mom's. Yeah. And he got homesick, and he left, dude. He left.
I think that's a common thing. We talked about it when we were touching on Major League Baseball. There's a lot of scouting in Panama, and a lot of kids get sent up. But there's no preparation, so Little kids from a small town get offered a big check.
Mm.
There's no preparation. They don't speak English, and they go to the States and they wash out, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because Panama's got tons of talent. Tons of talent.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what
Totally.
Deportes is supposed to be doing.
Help them kind of prepare, help them to just, use their talent to the fullest.
Right. And to have have some longevity in their sports career. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, we're at the top of the hour. You think maybe you want to give a little shout out to the advertisement?
HB, let me tell you something, man.
Talk to me, brother.
Because every time I think about me in the future, I think about you in the future, HB, and I'm all like, man, I hope us rapscallions, we get to retire in style.
Style, man. That's what we deserve.
And you know what? That's right. We deserve to retire in style. And you know who can help us get to our ideal retirement?
You know I need help, brother.
Hey, none other than Luke Robertson, man. That's
the guy. I've known him almost my entire life. Luke Robertson, very trustworthy.
I know you have, man. And he is like a top-notch financial advisor, man. He's working over at Edward Jones. If what you want to do is retire in style, like the Rapscallions, then you got to holler at Luke Robinson. Holler at Luke Robinson. Let me tell you something, man. I know people want to get in touch and they're saying like, yo, I want to retire in style. What do I do to retire in style? You need to contact Luke Robertson at 757-481-0023 or send them an email, man, at luke.robertson@edwardjones.com.
All right, check out. We've got the phone number and the email on the screen right now. And if you need more information, you can always DM us. Rapscallions are big on DM. Well done, Joe. It's just like your rapping and your vocal prowess just makes those sponsorship moments so delicious for the ear holes.
Thanks,
my ears are so happy.
Thanks, because I just think about, I know Rapscallions, we need to retire as well at some point in our lives. And what better way to retire than with the assistance of Luke Robertson, financial advisor.
Indeed. He can point you in the right direction. Just give him a call.
Mm-hmm.
Write him an email.
Send him an email.
Just do it. And also scroll down and watch the episode that he did with us. The man flew jets. That was incredible.
He flew jets.
Like
I have
Top Gun.
I've never flown a jet in my life. Top Gun.
Like someday maybe the Rapscallions can be in a movie where we fly jets. But he actually flew jets.
He did. He flew them and he flew them really well. He parked them and everything.
Parallel parked them too.
It was fantastic.
Hey, we got some super interesting information, but I want to carry on with that. But first, I think let's go back to the Wayback Machine. We're back in the 70s. We got to the 70s. Joe, you guys got to see all this amazing research that Joe did in preparation for this episode. So in order for that not to be lost, let's go back to the 70s. Joe, tell us a little bit more about how the national team had grown, and they kind of started blipping on the radar in the 70s.
I mean, they were making moves, man. As I mentioned earlier, man, got the bronze medal in the Juegos Bolivarianos in the 70s, in Maracaibo, 73, in Panama, beating Peru, beating Bolivia, making very strong statements throughout the region. Then in 1975, they toured Asia and they faced the Chinese Taipei team. Can you imagine how wild that must have been for those guys on the team? Like, oh crap, man, we're in China.
Dude, when I was in high school, I went and played like in Costa Rica, and I was like, oh my! Can you imagine a little cholito Panameño going to Taipei?
Man, you were like, oh my God, I'm in another country, and then these guys were like, whoa, we're in China. So yeah, it was. I mean, they were making a lot of moves in the 70s during that time. A lot of famous players that we can speak about now sometimes, but really don't quite know where they came from popped up, like Luis Ernesto Cascarita Tapia. He was a member of the Guardia Nacional team, which won championships in the Panama District League and there's a stadium named after him. So I think it was definitely a moment of development for the national team in the 70s, again, with players such as Cascarita Tapia and others that were just really helping the football or soccer in Panama stand out, and they started to play abroad in locations. And for players that had never played outside of Panama before, when you get to go play in El Salvador or different countries, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. That cements you. That not only it builds your character and builds your confidence as a soccer player.
Yeah. So I mean, that was the 70s, my friend, and then 80s. From what I could gather, there was a lot of conflicts with FIFA. I'm not sure if this had anything to do or not with the dictatorship at the time, but Panama was suspended from FIFA indefinitely, so cast out. It was a suspension that lasted for 4 years until new elections were held. Sorry, and even though we were not in FIFA, we were still allowed to participate in the 1982 World Cup qualification stages.
Do we have any information on what would happen there?
It was apparently something of the approval of a sports law.
Huh.
I'm not really
Panama. So Panama approved some sort of sports law that conflicted with
FIFA,
CONCACAF, FIFA, and COP,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in case you don't know, like FIFA is the international federation. CONCACAF
That's right.
is Central America, Caribbean, and part of South America, right?
No, I think it's just Central America and Caribbean.
Okay.
Because South America is CONMEBOL.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
You're right. Yeah. So Central America and the Caribbean.
Yeah. So they were having some issues with that, and I mean, I don't know. I think it was just I'm sure that, it's just wild times.
I think the little bit I know compared to your vast knowledge is in 1988, Panama had an incredible game in the stadium, which would be renamed Estadio Revolución.
That's right.
They had a huge game where they beat Costa Rica, and that was to date that was the biggest income that the Estadio Revolución had ever had. It was some $130,000 of income, not only from ticket sales but beer sales and whatnot.
Yeah.
And as we recall, dictadura times, the dictatorship took all that money.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. And I mean, to think about a game, I think there's no game bigger in Central America, for us at least, than when Panama plays Costa Rica, man. I mean, yeah. And especially during the 80s, my friend, we had a player coming up in the game who was huge and unfortunately was never able to fulfill his potential. He played really well, but I guess I would love to have seen what could have potentially happened if Romel Fernandez had not passed away when he did. Right. Because during the 80s was when he was doing his thing, in Tenerife, in Spain, in Valencia, in Spain, in Albacete. He was a hugely influential and prolific striker, man. I think people were really expecting big things from him. But then unfortunately he died in 1993, 6th of May. And then because of his death was that the Estadio Revolución was renamed the Romel Fernandez Stadium.
Who else wasn't Jorge Valdez on that team?
It must have been Armando de Valdez. He was the older brother of Jorge Julio.
Okay, all right.
And there's a stadium in Colón named after him, El Armando de Valdez, and he passed away in 2004 because he had a heart attack and it left him in a coma, and he was in a permanent vegetative state, and then he suffered sepsis and lung infections.
Wow.
Yeah, tragic, dude. But he played for the national team from 1984 to 1995. And he also had an amazing career overseas.
We're talking about Roman or Julio.
We're talking about Armando de Valdez, the older brother of Jorge y Julio. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of players, dude.
So due to the unfortunate and untimely death of Romel Fernandez, the Estadio Revolucionario was renamed in his honor.
That's right. It was called the Romel Fernandez, and then that is why now we call it that. And I think whenever the national team plays, you always see, back when we could go to the stadium, there's a huge banner with his name and everything and his image that people sort of like, that the Marea Roja fans display for everyone to see.
Wow. Shout out to Rest in peace, Roman Fernandez. It's
Yeah, for sure.
a testament
It was-
to the talent that's born here in Panama.
Yeah, totally, man, totally. And I think, and while also mentioning talented players, there's one player that I always respected a lot, especially since we were talking about earlier about players that played overseas and how difficult they found it. There was one player, Luis Enriquez, who was a defender. I think he played on the left side of the defense for the national team. Many, many years he played for the national team. This is a guy, HB, who left Panama in 2007 to play football in Poland.
Poland, goodness.
Poland. And he stayed there from 2007 to 2015 with the Lech Poznan. And this guy managed to play in the Europa League and in so many important matches for this Polish team. Now, if you're telling me something that's crazy and you're like, HB, imagine you've never left Panama, and I'm like, hey, te vas a mudar a Polonia. You're going to be like, what?
Yeah, right. Sí.
And
Oye, mijo, tengo algo para ti. Muy especial, muy especial. Tú vas a ser polaco.
I would be like, what? Sorry, what now? Where am I going? Poland. So yeah, man, shout out to him. That guy's I've always admired him, because I think, if you're ever going to do something that's going to take you out of your comfort zone and put you in a situation where you're like, man, am I going to be able to handle this?
Yeah.
To go from Panama to Poland, man, that's a true shot in the dark,
Yeah.
Dark. But hey, that's when you have talent, right? When you have talent, you can make it. But HB.
It's better to live a life of talent in Poland than to sit at home and not play soccer, right?
Exactly. And just kind of think about what could have been. How many people don't think about that? How many people think about that?
I think about that all the time. I could have been a soccer player, could have been a football player, but you know what? I did one better. Now I'm a rapscallion.
That's right, man. Ain't nothing better than this, dog. Ain't nothing better. But HB, I want to jump ahead, football-wise. Let's jump ahead. We're going to jump to the 2000s. We're
going to skip the 90s?
We're going to skip the 90s.
Yeah. Were we going to come back to the 90s?
I can mention, let's talk about the 90s then.
I want to, because that's like the last of what I know, 90s.
All right. Let's talk about the 90s.
Let's talk about the 90s. I think the 90s is...
I know a lot about the 2000s.
Yeah. So in the 90s, really towards the end of the 90s is when club soccer started getting a little larger, right? They had the formation of the different leagues.
Yes.
What was there? There was two of them, right? Can you help me out with this a little bit?
I think Ana Prof is the one I remember the most, man.
Okay.
Ana Prof, which I don't remember what it stood. It was Ana Prof was la Asociación Nacional de Fútbol.
Pro Football. Yeah. Pro Football.
Yeah.
And then you had the FEPAFUT, right?
FEPAFUT is the overarching body. So I guess if you have the pyramid, you'd have FEPAFUT at the top, and then Ana Prof would be kind of like below it, because FEPAFUT kind of like commands all football related stuff.
Okay, so in the 90s is when you started, when Panama started enticing more people to sponsor Marea Roja, not only the national team, but also to sponsor the formation of different clubs. They all got together, and I think they agreed that the initial buy-in was $50,000, and that would be incremented $5,000 every year.
Yeah.
And then that's when I don't know exactly what year they got the moniker Marea Roja, but it wasn't before. We're the Canaleros. And then there was kind of a shift, and I think that's what you're going to get to in the 2000s. But I wanted to touch on the 90s because that's when club soccer started getting bigger. That's when you started seeing sponsorship by like Bell South. Remember when Bell South was here?
For sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of when.
So, no, I was gonna say last time I found some phone. You know the cards that you could use to like stick into payphones to make calls.
Yeah.
I found some of those. I think they were like Bell South or Cable and Wireless, one or the other. I don't know.
Yeah. So
anyway.
that's kind of like when private companies started endorsing and sponsoring, and there was people investing into the league in the 90s. All right, 2000s.
Yeah. No, and it's very good that you mentioned that. Actually, that's key. That's a major key, as DJ Khaled would say, because then the Ana Prof would develop into the LPF, which is what we have now, the Liga Panameña de Fútbol. And I think what they're trying to do now in that HP is actually have teams set up regionally, because initially when the teams were set up, you had like a team in Bocas del Toro, you had a team in La Chorrera, and then 4 teams in Panama City. And I mean, come on, try to give them each an identity, man, that's like linked to a province. And that way you can say, ay, yo vivo en la capital. Fine, have 2 teams in la capital. I'll support one of these 2. Yo vivo en Chiriquí, mi equipo es tal. Right. Yo vivo en Bocas, mi equipo es tal. Not just like un equipo en Peronomé and 10 in the city.
How is it? How does that compare to the baseball? Because I like you have like, oh shit, there's so many baseball teams. That's probably a bad example.
No. But in baseball, they do it regionally, and it's very like por provincias, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, Cocle.
That's your team. That's your hood.
That's right.
So it's a wonderful idea. So hopefully it has resultado.
Mm-hmm. So I had a question for you, but I was making a drink, so
you forgot. Well, let me just tell you 2 quick tidbits, my friend, that we didn't mention in the last week's show. So in 2020, man, Panama was supposed to host the Under-20 Women's World Cup, which we didn't do. So that was a pain because of COVID. So thanks a lot, COVID.
And the women's national soccer team is nothing to bat your eyes at. They're good.
They've certainly come a long way, man. Have certainly come a long way. So
a friend of mine sent his daughter to play a few games with the women's national team.
Oh, word?
Yeah, his wife is a friend of mine from the Canal Zone, and he actually made it to the major leagues in baseball.
Oh, cool.
Jeff Weatherby. His first at bat, he hit a home run in the major leagues.
Wow.
He wiped out his knee, and now he's a scout for Detroit, I think.
Sweet, anyway, man.
His daughter came to play with the national team here in Panama, women's national team, and well, of course, we all went out to shout for her. She was playing goalie.
Yeah,
and excellent showing by the women's team.
Hey, man. Women's football, soccer is super exciting. I grew up, my sister, massive football player, massive soccer player. I grew up, watching women's football. Certainly is just as good as men's, if not better. I mean, you're in the US,
especially in the U.S., the women's team is much better than the U.S. team.
Yeah.
So, and the Women's World Cup is, geez, in the men's league, they're if you whisper on their ankle, they're rolling around the floor, right? And you see the women's team has got like a bloody nose and their blood coming out of their ears, and they're like,
flopping all over the place. These guys, man, a bunch of theatrical. They should have all been actors.
They should have been actors.
They should have been actors. But yeah, man. The Under-20 Women's World Cup has now been moved to Costa Rica in 2020. So again, Costa Rica pipped us from the fame of hosting such a prestigious tournament.
Prestigious. All right, now we're getting into the glory years now, right?
Pip the Pip, HB. The first thing I want to talk about in the glory years, man. I remember the 2000s, man. Last time I was going through some pictures at my parents' house, and I found some pictures of when I went to see Panama play Canada in the year 2000 in the Rommel Fernandez before it was remodeled.
Yeah.
Man, what a trip. What a trip, man. What a difference compared to the stadium that we have today, because it was remodeled.
Sure. I remember it was just like sitting on a curb,
Yeah. And just ahí en el sol, like you were just out there to get roasted. Like nobody cared. It was just, and then I looked at the pictures and there was no social distancing whatsoever. You were just kind of there like with the sun hitting you.
And
we enjoyed it.
You give the beer guy you give him a couple extra bucks, like come here every 5 minutes.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. But I just remember, just the amount of talented players that we had in the early 2000s. You had like Donaldo Gomez in the goal, you had Ricardo Patton Phillips, you had Percival Pigot, you had Mario Mendez, Julio y Jorge de Valdés, Nestali Díaz, Roberto El Bombardero Brown, Alberto Blanco, Mario Anthony Chalate Torres, Julio Medina Tercero. You remember him? He was the guy with the with the like bleached hair.
Yes, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Super popular. I remember in the 2000s seeing, you remember the 2005 Gold Cup, La Copa de Oro 2005. That I think was a changing moment, I think at least, for Panamanian football, man.
Well, that's the thing is like, I think I look forward to the Copa de Oro just as much as I do for Mundiales, you know?
See, yeah.
Panama's
Totally.
played excellent games in Copa de Oro.
Yeah. And I actually think the next one is supposed to be this year.
What?
So hopefully, I mean, that's a lot of football that we have this year. It's supposed to take place this year, COVID permitting, I guess. But I don't know. If you look at the numbers and stuff, it should be taking place this year.
Well, I hope so. I don't think I'll go, but
Well, it's not gonna be in Panama. I don't know where it's gonna be. I guess we'll find out closer to the date. But it's gonna be in July. So that means, my friend, that in July we're gonna have Copa de Oro, we're gonna have Euros, we're gonna have Olympics, we're gonna have so much football. And I'm guessing, when is the Copa? When is the Copa?
Panamericana, Bolivariano, what is it?
The one they play in South America. It's called the Copa.
Bolivar, what is it called?
No, I can't remember, man. It's called the Copa America. Ah, such a fool. That's also taking place in 2021.
Damn, dog. We got a year of soccer.
We're gonna have like June and July and August are gonna be just like.
I had a ball last World Cup.
That's awesome.
But we're building up to that. So okay, so we're in the glory years. We're Panama is playing. I wish, when I look back at those games, I wish they would play that way all the time. I mean, what is it? The national pride? Is it who we're playing against? What makes the Copa de Oro stand out in your opinion?
I think it's just because I think since 2005, the Copa de Oro started in like 1993 or something, 1991. But I think, or the CONCACAF Gold Cup rather, 1991 is when it was called that. And I think in 2005 was probably when we had our best showing. Again, this was one of our better showings. This was another question in our trivia from the week. Which team did Panama not play in the 2005 Gold Cup? Canada. The options were Canada, South Africa, Colombia, and I forgot which one the other option was, United States. And we played all of those teams except for Canada. We played the US in the final. We played South Africa in the groups, not in the group stages, but in the quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken. And we played Colombia as well. So
why is North America in the CONCACAF Copa de Oro?
Copa de Oro. Oh, no, because it is, CONCACAF includes North America.
Okay.
So sorry, yeah.
So it's North America, Central America, and the Caribbean.
The Caribbean, that's right.
Yeah. I got confused.
Yeah. No, but very true, yeah. I guess because the U.S. is so large that you just
and they suck at soccer.
And Colombia, and I guess you got to include Canada as well. So yeah, in there we got through the group stages. We beat South Africa 5-3 on PKs. That was one of the first times that we ever saw San Penedo do his thing. I remember the newspaper things of him going like, like. We beat South Africa, dog. South freaking Africa. And then after South Africa, we beat Colombia 3-2 in the semifinals. 3-2 Colombia. Take that. Man, that was a strong Colombia team, man. They had this guy Mondragon as a goalie, man, and we spanked them.
Wasn't that the year that the Colombian player got shot by a fan for the autogol?
That was in 1994.
Oh, smack.
It was in the World Cup USA 1994. Escobar accidentally played the U.S. actually. Colombia was heavily favored to win the 1994 World Cup. And then this guy, he makes a mistake. as all humans can do. And he scored an autogol, man.
Devastating.
Truly,
So-
I mean, and that U.S. team was like, I mean, was there anything special about it? I don't know.
No, not at all. So the guy, an autogol, for those who don't know, is when you score a goal on your own team. And of course, he didn't do it on purpose. Those things happen by accident.
Yeah.
And so this guy goes home and he got shot. They shot him. That's how serious soccer is in Latin America.
Yeah. And for a defender, I mean, man, you know, a lot of the times when you're back there, the ball's coming at you. Of course, your main priority is keeping it out of your goal. Pero hey, if it bounces the wrong way or there's a gust of wind or something,
someone bumps into you, if there's no communication, because the goalie in those tight situations, he's got to be yelling the whole time so that his defenders knows where he's at. He can call. He's like, hey, leave this one for me. They need to talk. They need to communicate. And if there wasn't good communication, if there was a little shuffle, if there's a little bang up going on there, the guy can get confused. He tips the ball or tries to defend the ball, and then the ball goes in his own goal. The guy died, man. He got shot.
He got shot. So don't shoot anyone. I mean, we're only
Joe,
humans.
Rapscallions is going to implement that. Anytime one of you or I make a mistake, penalty of death.
Oh, snap. Okay, then I'm not going to make any mistakes.
So when we go into the recording studio to record a super awesome rap or something,
Right.
you got to get it right on the first time.
All right. Oh, man. I'll be like one take Joe. That's what they call me.
One take. That's true. One take, Joe.
One take Joe. Boom. Boom.
Yeah.
Not to get shot. I don't want to get shot.
You know,
So let me tell you-
I don't. I want to rescind that because I'm the one that always takes like 50 takes. Joe writes the lyrics, so of course he's gonna remember it. Then I don't know how to rap, and so Joe trains me how to rap. We do it 50 times, and we come up with something good.
Okay, so nobody gets shot.
Nobody gets shot. You have to take a shot of Seco.
Yeah,
Changing
that's right.
the rules here.
Take a shot of Seco. So check it out, my friend. In the semifinal, we played Colombia. Ricardo Patón Phillips scored 2 goals. And we were actually coasting, man, up until the 26th minute. We were winning 3-0. And then Colombia scored a goal in the 63rd minute, and then they scored again in the 89th minute durante el tiembla.
89th.
And it ended 3-2. 3-2. I remember watching that game. I remember getting blasted.
Me too.
Hilarious.
I was very upset.
Why were you upset? We won.
Because I ran out of beer.
Oh. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. And you know what? That was when we still had our jerseys were made by Lotto. So the most you could potentially pay for a Panama jersey during that time was maybe $29.99, $39.99, something like that.
Somewhat affordable.
Somewhat affordable. But now you got to pay like $90 for a Lotto jersey.
It's crazy. And the one that I have has a little hologram on it, you know?
So if you're going to get your Panama jerseys, man, get them on sale.
Mine fell off a truck.
There you go. Or get them off a truck. But, I mean, come on, New Balance. Help us out, man. It's pandemic times.
Come on. Tiempo de crisis, man. What's up?
Seriously. Then, my friend, they got to the final on the 24th of July, 2005. Played against the U.S., man. Made it 0-0 all the way to the end. And then the U.S. beat us 3-1 on penalty kicks, dog.
Oh, that was such a good game, too.
It was devastating, but so good.
So good.
Regardless,
this is still Copa de Oro, right?
This is still Copa de Oro, and regardless, I think this tournament gave Panama such a confidence boost because we had people like Luis Tejada, who was within the like top scorers. He was also named the best player of the tournament, and you had Jaime Penedo win the best goalkeeper of the tournament. 2005, we were coached by Jose Cheche Hernandez.
Cheche.
And people were super excited. So then this took us into the qualifying for Germany 2006. But then unfortunately, the same thing that happens to us usually in all the qualifying campaigns for the World Cup until 2018, we faltered, my friend.
You choked?
We choked. We chickity choked. Chickity choked.
Devastating.
Choke the choke. But still,
True.
after that great showing in 2009 with Gary Stempel as the coach, we won the 2009 UNCAF Cup. And that was with a team consisting mostly of players from the local league rather than players from outside. So
Okay.
huge boost. But
Huge
yeah,
boost.
I think the Gold Cup has definitely always been sort of like a thing that we look forward to.
I definitely look forward to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so let's take a few steps back. We still have some very important qualifiers, right?
Well, for the World Cup, we played some seriously important games in for the Germany qualifying games. As I said, we had Cheche Hernandez. We came out straight out of the gates, my friend. We kicked the crap out of St. Lucia, 4-0 and 3-0. And then they put us in a group with the big boys of the U.S. and Jamaica and El Salvador. We lost the first one 2-1 to El Salvador. Then we beat Jamaica 2-1. The Reggae Boys are always a difficult opponent.
Yeah.
Jamaica, man.
Jamaica. I remember when they were here in Panama. We threw a lot of beers in that game.
Seriously, man. Jamaica is always a difficult team. Then we tied the U.S. 1-1. Then we tied 1-1 against Jamaica. And then we lost 6-0 to the U.S. Then we beat El Salvador 3-0. And we qualified a la hexagonal final. Because remember here, you're always trying to qualify for hexagonales.
Right.
It's all about moving to the next hexagonal. So then in the next round, we drew with Guatemala 0-0 at the Rommel. Then we lost 2-1 to Costa Rica. Then we tied with Mexico. That was when Luis Tejada scored his phenomenal Chilena goal at the Rommel. But then even that couldn't save us from defeat because then we lost to Trinidad and Tobago 2-0 and to the U.S. 3-0 to end that first round of that hexagonal. In the next round, we lost all 5 games.
We got spanked.
And we finished. And then after that, we went to the Gold Cup. We did some wonderful things. Then in 2007, we went to the UNCAF Cup that we were to win in 2009. And then we qualified to the 2009 Gold Cup. And there we lost to the U.S., which sucks.
Wasn't there? Maybe have the wrong year, but there was some kind of fishy business in that one, wasn't there?
The fishy business, my friends. I'll tell you about fishy business. You want to hear about fishy business, dog?
Talk to me, Joe. What's going on?
I'll tell you
Yeah,
about
whisper.
fishy business. The fishy business happened in 2015.
2015.
It happened. I remember it clearly as if it happened yesterday.
Yeah. Talk to me, Joe. What happened?
Man, we were playing
Mm-hmm.
against Mexico in the Gold Cup. We were playing against Mexico. And after this fishy business, I'll tell you some more fishy business, man. Because
I want to hear the
when you
fishy
say
business, man.
fishy business, man, you talk about Panama. Panama, fishy business go together like
Right.
peanut butter and
What does
jelly.
Panama stand for? Land of plentiful fish.
Yes, mudfish.
Mudfish. Mudflats. Mudfish.
Plentiful mudfish, dude. Hey, 2015, man. Let me tell you the story, man. 2015.
Wait. We're going off track, but we need to talk about some. We got to talk about some fishy business, right?
Yeah, man. Hey, because after I talk about this fishy business, I'm going to tell you about some other fishy business that happened before 2015. We're just taking a rap. It's like we have a time machine and we're going wherever we want.
I like it. We've converted our island hopping catamaran into a time hopping time machine. We don't need a DeLorean.
We don't
need Doc Brown with 2.2 gigawatts of power.
Not at all. We have our time hopping catamaran with our scientific monkey time hopping monkey.
Yeah. the scientific booze serving monkey.
That's
Chim-chim.
right. That's
Jojo.
right, man.
What was his name? We forgot the name of our monkey brother. TT.
TT.
TT is working on the flux capacitor. We're gonna jump. Okay, give us the fishy business.
Let me tell you something, man. Check this out. We were in the final. Let me set the stage for you. We were in the semifinals, right?
Talk to me.
2015.
Come here.
We were playing Mexico, our arch nemesis.
Arch
after
nemesis. This guy's Chusa.
After Costa Rica and the U.S. and Honduras and El Salvador. We have so many arch nemesis. So, arch nemesis, semifinal. Roman Torres scores a beautiful headed goal to make the score 1-1.
Beautiful. Thing of beauty.
Beautiful goal. Beautiful goal. Beautiful goal. The game is going well, man. We're like jumping up and down with confidence. Everything is going well. And then disaster in our penalty area. Disaster.
Oh, man.
Disaster. There was a mix-up in our penalty area. First let me start off. In the 25th minute, he kicks out Luis Tejada.
Yeah.
Because he said that he elbowed somebody in the face. One of the Mexicans. I don't know. People were like, I don't know. That wasn't for a red. Maybe it might have been a yellow. He gives him straight red. Kicks him out.
Boo this man. Boo this man.
Mark Geiger. Then Roman Torres scores 1-1. Beautiful header. Celebrated so much. Then when we're getting towards the end of the game, there's stuff happening in the area. Jaime Penedo goes to get the ball. Roman Torres goes down. You see that when Roman Torres is going down, he's moving. He's like, I can't touch the ball with my hands because if not, it's going to be a problem. So he's contorting his body as he falls to shield the ball, and Jaime Penedo gets it. What does Mark Geiger say? He says, you touched it with your hand, dog.
This guy.
Touched it with your hand. Touched it with your hand. That's a penalty kick. And we were like, what? So then, like, people were just like, screw this crap. And then the game paused for like 15 minutes. Because the Panamanian players were like, that wasn't a handball. You're corrupt. We're not playing. Stop being such a dumbass. This isn't happening. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Boo, boo, and double boo to that man.
Boo, man, boo. But then we were like, okay. They were like, if you don't go out and play, and remember, Bolillo was super upset. You know, our coach at the time, he was like, hey, man, this is dirty, man. This is dirty.
Yeah, that guy was spitting mad. He was like,
he was super upset. He was all big, right? So he was all shaking and stuff, but he was like, no, man, that's not happening. But then we were like, hey, if you guys decide not to play, you're forfeiting the game, so you're gonna lose anyways. So then it was like, oh man, I guess we gotta play. So then they decided to play, and then a lot of people were upset because the guy who scored the kick, Guardado, I think his name is Andres Guardado. People were expecting him to miss it because, you know, it wasn't a penalty.
They considered him to muff it, right?
Yeah. And then the game ended 2-1, and the players were super upset, and they took a picture which they pasted on social media, holding this big banner that said que CONCACAF son ladrones, because they were super upset because of what happened. And then FEPAFUT got fined, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, and everybody was like, let's pay them back in pennies. So people were holding recolectas on the street so that you could donate your pennies.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Mark Geiger. Well, where's he now?
I don't know, man. Living his best life, probably in the U.S.
He's got millions of dollars in pennies.
Probably. He has all the pennies. They went straight to his pocket. So that was super controversial.
The CONCACAF is like, hey, we'll pay you this money. And then he's like, well, I did it. I gave the red card. Where's my money at? They're like, here's the pennies.
Yeah, here's all the pennies they got. These are Panamanian pennies. Panamanian pennies. Huracas. And then we went on to play in the game for the third place, which was against our other arch nemesis, old arch rivals, the United States of America.
Gringos. Malditos man. Gringos.
Always trying to take what's ours, man. Always. Always.
Gringos.
And we won. That's right. We won. We won that on penalties. I think it was 3-2, if my memory serves me correctly, on penalties, and we won third place in La Copa de Oro 2015. Not bad.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Not bad.
I mean, I definitely got dyspeptic over that Copa de Oro. It's like highs and lows all over the place.
That was terrible, man. I remember watching that match. I was at a bar with some colleagues, and we were just trying to live our best lives. But then we were just super upset. We were super upset. Super upset.
It was a tough one. Tough one. All right, where are we at on the way back machine? Where are we We're in 2015 of Copa de Oro, right?
We're on 2015 Copa de Oro. But let me take you back, man.
Oh.
Let me take you way back.
Where are we
to
going,
this-
Marty McFly?
Let me tell you. Let me hold on. Let me get my notes up because I got to tell you about this other game, which marked my life for reals.
Really?
I remember I was super upset because of what happened.
What year are we going back to? Where are we going?
We're going 2008. We're back to 2008.
2008.
And I will tell you what happened in 2008.
All right.
So, check
Talk to
this
me,
out.
brother. Check in.
Check this out. Our coach at the time was Alexander Guimaraes. This was a Costa Rican.
Tico.
Brazilian. He was our coach. All right. He was our coach. So I remember that we played El Salvador here in Panama in El Estadio Rotcaru, first of all.
Right.
And we won that match. Okay. We won that match. I think it was 2-1. People can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I remember that we won that match at the Rommel Fernandez. Oh, no, sorry. It was 1-0.
Wait.
1-0.
I thought, didn't you just say we're at Rod-Carew? I'm confused.
We were at Rotcaru because it was when the Rommel Fernandez was being remodeled.
Ah, that's right. Yes, I think I might have gone to that game.
It was a rainy day. I remember it clearly. We were playing El Salvador at the Rotcaru, and we won 1-0. Okay. And then we had our next game. Our next game was in El Salvador. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
El Salvador. And we had a banging team. Okay. We had Jose Luis Garcés. We had Luis Tejada. We had Blas Perez. We had Rolando El Talentoso Escobar. This guy had mad skill.
He was talented.
He was talented, as his name implies.
Yeah.
You know, we had Felipe Valoy in the defense. We had Luis Enriquez. We had so many players at the prime of their career. But I think Pipe Valoy was suspended for the game against El Salvador. So we went to El Salvador.
Yeah.
And I remember this is a first-hand account from people told me that were at the match.
Right.
Okay.
What happened? Talk to me, Joe.
During that game, it was ominous. It was like a storm was coming, dude. All right.
It's like off on yonder, you could see like dark clouds. You can hear the thunder rolling, like bah, 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 bah.
Thunder rolling. It was just like, man, it's like you could feel something was going to happen. It wasn't quite right.
It's like there's something on the back of your neck was tickling, like, something's wrong here. Algo anda mal. Your shoulders all clenched up.
Yeah. And you can feel it, and you're like, man, algo está pasando. Esto no me gusta. What's going on, man? And then they brought it down, man. The El Salvadorians, they were throwing batteries at the players. They were throwing bags full of PP at the players. Urine-filled bags at our players, man. And it took us out. And we lost that game.
They mind-fucked us.
Yep. They totally did. And they took us out of that match. And I remember that match being so freaking painful because we won here. And we should have won against El Salvador.
It's like maybe the coach in Panama should throw urine-filled bags at the players just to prepare them mentally in case that happens again in the future.
Yep. And it was, we had beat them 2-0. 2-0. Blas Perez and Jose Luis Garcés scored. But then in El Salvador, we got 3 goals scored on us in 18 minutes.
Ouch.
And then apparently the Mexican referee, Marco Chiqui Dracula. Remember Chiqui Dracula?
Which one was that?
That was the guy that looked like a little Dracula.
Like Chiqui Dracula.
Yeah.
Okay.
We lost 3-0, and we cried, man. And they threw balls. They threw bags of urine at us. And due to that 3-0 loss, we were not able to continue on our qualification.
So you might be able you might be able to say that Panama got pissed off.
Yes.
You could say that. You could say that.
Indeed.
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 Devastating loss. Devastating loss. All
Devastating
right, so
loss. And again, there the world was against us.
we're still on Copa de Oro, right?
No, this is World Cup qualifiers.
We're in the qualifiers.
2000.
Devastating. So these guys are so serious that they're throwing urine at us.
They're throwing urine at us, man.
Hmm.
They are throwing urine at us. And then after that, I think the most, and I remember that one, it was like, man, everyone was just like, oh my God, Pepa Food has to complain because the balls of urine. And I remember there was even one moment where Jaime Penedo got hit with something in his arm. And I remember thinking, drop to the ground, don't play. You know, like, just be like, oh, I got hurt because somebody threw something at him.
Yeah.
But he soldiered through, you know. He was like, no. But, you know, el ambiente was so toxic that, you know, you had to do that. You had to play their games, you know.
Panama's not innocent from pulling shenanigans.
I know, but it's like, yo, if you're in a situation, you see what's happening.
Well, that's the thing is like you can't throw crap at people on the field. I mean, that's period.
And then I wonder why the referee didn't stop the match, because I've seen games take place in Europe, and you know, people throw flares onto the pitch, and they're like, stop this, stop the game, beep beep, we're not resuming until all y'all calm down.
Yeah.
But that game just played on as normal. It was like, there goes a battery. Oh.
Do you know who the referee was in that game? It was Miguel Giger.
Miguel Giger. It had to be. Stupid.
Had to be. Devastating.
Dude, so then after that, Guimaraes left, and he was a pretty good coach. I liked him. He was a good coach. Right. He left, and then we had Julio Deli Valdez and Jorge Deli Valdez take over. I like them. I've always thought that Deli Valdez have been wonderful coaches for the Selección because they know how to relate to Panamanian players, man.
Yeah, because they came up as players. They know, like, maybe when they're coming up, they had good and bad experiences as players, and then could take measures to do that for their own team, you know?
Yeah, man. Impart that knowledge, because these are guys that have done it all. I mean, professionally, they played here, they played overseas, they've coached, you know, and they did a wonderful job, and everything was going swimmingly well, and we were en route to our repechaje with New Zealand until that fateful day when we played the U.S. at the Rommel Fernandez Stadium. Fateful day.
Talk to me. Day. I was there. I drowned myself in beer.
Hey, I wasn't there. So you tell me what it was like to be there, my friend.
It was fucking packed, dude.
Yeah, everyone was there, right?
Everyone was there. I think I have a picture with Varela.
That was at that game.
I think so. I need to check the dates, but very hazy. Lots of beer drinking going on.
From what I remember, I think this was like 2014, right? It was in October.
Mm-hmm.
Just before Halloween.
Another ominous date.
Another ominous date. And we were like, okay, Costa Rica has to beat Mexico, and we have to beat the USA so we can go play New Zealand. Costa Rica. They were being coached by Jorge Luis Pinto. All right. Costa Rica had a wonderful World Cup in Brazil in 2014 with this same guy. And they were beating Mexico. They were doing what they had to do.
Right. Getting it done.
No doubt. They were winning 2-1. And we were doing the same thing against the USA.
Right. Points, all the stars are aligning.
Stars were aligning, dude. And we were going to go to al repechaje. We were doing it, man. And then some people say that it was because of Julio Valdez's inexperience. Julio Valdez. That's why Graham Susie and this Johansson guy managed to score 2 goals in a minute that led to us losing 3-2 and just left everyone.
How can you blame the coach for that? I blame the players for putting everything back into first gear.
I hear you. I agree 100%. I think if you're winning 2-1 and there's like 5 minutes left, park the freaking bus. No, nobody
I
wants
think
to score.
that was like I think that's one of the most heartbreaking games I've seen.
And I heard stories. I heard stories that it was because Luis Tejada wanted to score another goal, so he wanted to venture off an attack. And I've heard stories of the Panamanian players telling the American players, like, hey, man, take it
It's
easy.
over. Take it easy. No, you don't take it easy. You fight until the end, dude.
You do. And again, this was another super talented team. This team had a Roberto Chen at the time who had been signed by Malaga in Spain. And he was expected to go do big things. But
didn't work out in the wash, huh?
Didn't work out for him. Didn't work out for us, man.
Devastating game.
Terrible, terrible. And then after that, we started a new process, my friend. We started a new process with Hernan Bolillo Gomez. To be honest, I was never a big fan of Bolillo.
Right.
Never a big fan.
I was always fans of the Twins, man. I think they should still be coaching, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. No, me too. I like them a lot. I think they're good. I think they understand the football. But then Bolillo came around. He had taken Colombia to the World Cup, to Ecuador to the World Cup. So, it was like, this is the man who's going to do it. And he seems to have really understood the Panamanian player well. He built really good relationships with the players that we had at the time. He was one of the main ones that brought in Armando Cooper, who was like a really talented player, a bit controversial, but still pretty good.
Maybe he was more willing to take chances as from being an outsider. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, he took Ecuador to the World Cup.
Ecuador
To the World Cup, yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty good. And I think he just came in. Maybe he had a different mentality. I don't know. But it seems that he was able to continue that cohesiveness that the team had with the Deli Valdeses and keep it moving forward. So a lot of people say that if the Deli Valdeses would have stayed on as coaches for the next round for the 2018 World Cup, they would have eventually taken the team to the World Cup.
I think maybe the Deli Valdeses, maybe they got pushed around too much by the powers that be. But when you bring in someone who's actually been to the World Cup, he has a little bit more clout. He's got a little more palanca to tell people, this is the guy that I want playing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, how many of us have ever been to the World Cup? I mean, you got to listen to the guy that's been to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think maybe he's got a little more clout and can push around people.
Yeah. I mean, and I remember thinking that it was going to be a massive fiasco. I remember thinking that we weren't going to qualify. I remember the match before that fateful match against Costa Rica. We lost 3-0 to the U.S. Christian Pulisic made us look like fools. I've never seen. I remember watching that match, and I remember I never saw. I love Felipe Valoy. I think he's a wonderful character. He's one of my favorite players of all time. But Pulisic made him and Roman Torres look slow and old.
Devastating.
And we lost 3-0. But then, lo and behold, we're playing Costa Rica. We're playing Costa Rica in El Rommel, and we need Trinidad and Tobago to beat the U.S. So many things had to happen.
Well, that's the thing is, like, we were like just a few seconds ago, we were talking about how everything went in our disfavor, right?
Yeah.
So I really think the only thing in my entire life that's made me think of karma is this, because when you really sit down and think about the odds of all these things going in our favor, it's infinitesimal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell us more, Joe. Tell us.
I agree. I agree 100% with you, man. Like it's just one of those things where you're just like, we needed Trinidad and Tobago to beat the U.S. Was that going to happen? The U.S. had a freaking wonderful team full of talented players. You know, they had, as I mentioned, they had Christian Pulisic, who was like a superstar. They still had, what's this guy's name? The rapping guy, Deuce. I forget what his name is, but anyways, super good player. I can't remember what his name was, what his actual name is. How would you expect these guys to lose to Trinidad and Tobago? But they lost to Trinidad and Tobago 3-0. And then add to that with the Robin Fernandez playing Costa Rica, Blas Perez is given this ghost goal, which we can all agree never went in. And then the man of the hour, Roman Torres, bust the crap out of that ball into the net. I was super happy. I was stoked. I was like,
I couldn't even, you know, that meme where it has the lady there and the math is like shooting out of her head. You know, you sit there and you're watching it and you're like, there's no way. But, you know, I hope we point up. I hope we do well. And then all these things start falling into line. It's like, and then you're like on your phone to see how Trinidad and Tobago is doing. And you're like, no way. There's no way. And you keep saying there's no way. Then you think they're saying there's no way. And then you have a defender go on a fast break, right? And score a goal, which was beautiful.
Yeah. Never in a million years. Never in a million years.
There's got to be, I mean, there's got to be a mathematician or an accountant or someone who's good at numbers that has to sit down and figure out the odds of that turning of being impossible to being completely possible.
Yeah. And I remember I had a friend who was like, I can't celebrate this. Everyone knows that the goal Blas Perez didn't score. That wasn't a goal. And I was like, man, how many goals have people gotten in history that weren't goals? Yet they still celebrated them. Yet they still took advantage of them. Yet we still count those as solid victories.
Maradona, where he went to head the ball and he...
Y ahora tú te vas a hacer el más santo, pues.
Exactly.
No way. No freaking way.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I was so stunned. I remember I was out with some friends and they were tour guides and I just followed. I had my Selección shirt on and we ended up being in a CNN was shooting like a thing about Panama. And they let me tag along because they're tour guides and that way we could go to different bars and stuff in Casco Viejo.
Yeah.
And I just stood there like I was completely flabbergasted by what I had seen on the soccer game. I just couldn't believe it. I was supposed to be celebrating, but I was just like, what are the mathematics behind this? It's completely improbable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like winning. It's like winning the lottery in 3 different states at the same time, you know?
Yep. Something that you could never imagine happening. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I think the score was with Trinidad and Tobago and the USA was 2-1, not 3-0.
Yeah, it was a lot closer then, right?
Yeah, but still, I think the US had the firepower, had the capacity to make it happen, man. Make it happen.
Yeah, it was amazing. All right, I think the research department has sent me something. Says here's an article says like something handed down by God, how Panama reached the World Cup.
Yeah, no, pretty much is what it was. Pretty much is what it was.
Incredible.
And there's
a lot of controversy, and you even had the announcers. That's a famous video of the announcers, the Panamanian announcers,
crying
and jumping on each other.
And Juan Carlos Varela declaring the following day a national holiday, much to the chagrin of businesses all over the country that hadn't contemplated a national holiday.
Yeah. I'm even dumbfounded to this day. It's hard for me to explain because the probability of such a thing happening is infinitesimal.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, my friend, conscious that we're running out of time. And then just what happened after that was a whirlwind, dude. It was so special. We had so many amazing games to prepare. We went to Wales. We played the Wales national team. We tied 1-1. We played Northern Ireland here in Panama. Tied 0-0. I remember going to that match.
Oh, you went to it? That's
Yeah,
amazing,
of
dude.
course I went to it. Yeah. For a lot of reasons, much more than personal. But yeah,
Right.
it was good. Let's say I had a lot of work.
Oh man,
for that
you
match.
should have hired me to carry your bags, dude.
But it was wonderful 0-0. I remember I was so lucky that I was able to be in the I got to see one of the practices for the players and stuff. And then when the match ended, I was walking
That's
through
right.
the tunnel. I was walking through the tunnel as the match was ending, and I remember, I'd met some of the Northern Ireland players before, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then Aníbal Godoy coming through, and he was telling one of the guys from Northern Ireland, like, "It's hot, huh?" I was like, humid, dude. Oh my god.
Did you
But
get
it
to
was-
translate for Godoy?
No, because he spoke English. Remember, he plays in the MLS.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
So, but it was wonderful, man. And then we went to the World Cup, and yeah, we all know what happened.
Yeah, I went with you to the British Embassy to watch that game.
No, not the embassy, the ambassador's residence.
The ambassador's residence. It's true.
Yeah, we all know the game. Felipe Valois scored the first ever goal in the World Cup history for Panama. That was special.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was an eruption. I was like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter that we were losing. We scored a goal in the World Cup, man.
First appearance, first goal. What happened, Joe? Tell us the rest.
Hey, we lost 6-1, but whatever. Felipe Valois, man. And I can't think of a player who could have deserved it more, because he was a player who was always in the fringes with Bolillo. He came on as a substitute. He's done so much for the national team and scores that goal in that moment. Very special. Everyone knows what happened against Belgium for 45 minutes. We held on strong. And then second half, the Belgians showed their true talent. And then our final match was against Iran, if I'm not mistaken. And we lost that one 2-1. That was heartbreaking, because I honestly thought we could have won that match.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
That shellacking that we got from England kind of hurt a little bit, but when we got the goal, that celebration is something. Our first goal in the World Cup. That's something you'll always remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man. And for that player to get it, fantastic.
It's worth
man.
it. Worth it.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it, HB. And you know what else is worth it, HB?
What's that?
If you're retiring, my friend, because we're all gonna retire, or we're all gonna leave our employers at some point, man. And you got your 401k, and you want to keep your 401k. So you're thinking like, hey, what am I gonna do with my 401k? Well, if you need advice of what you can do with your 401k, perhaps move it to your new employer's plan, or roll it into your individual retirement account, or cashing out the account subject to tax consequences, hey, give Luke Robertson a call. Luke Robertson, financial advisor, man. He can tell you what to do and how to understand your 401k options. If you want to reach out to Luke Robertson, holler at him on his phone, 757-481-0023, or send him an email, luke.robertson@edwardjones.com. Luke Robertson, he can help you to understand your 401k options.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well done, Joe.
Thanks, man. What are you going to do with your 401k? Are you going to call Luke Robertson?
My retirement plan is to win the lottery. As an actor, my only options, especially here in Panama, is to buy lottery tickets. So as soon as I hit my retirement plans and my retirement goals, I'm going to be calling Luke Robertson up and asking him. I was like, look, I just want some money in the lottery. I need to be wise about what I'm going to do with this lottery money. What am I going to do? Like, maybe I should go and buy a rapscallion truck with paintings on the side. Maybe I should get some gold rings and chains, or maybe I should invest that wisely.
You could, or you could buy some T-shirts. at PanamaRP.com.
That's a good place to buy t-shirts, PanamaRP.com. You have the opportunity to buy our official t-shirt at Little Brown Dog. There's links for it there. And also, we've done a collaboration with the Happy Introverts. We did a special design just for them. You can buy t-shirts. And Joe and I, we've ordered our shirts. Just to let you know, we were the first ones off the press. It takes about 2 weeks to get your shirt. The shipping and handling can be around what, like $250 or something like that for one shirt?
It's not more than $5.
It's not more than $5. It's like, so you're buying the shirt for $20. That's a good price. We looked on our main competitor's website, joerogan.com. Those shirts are really expensive, man.
Hey, man, and they don't use the amazing printing techniques that we use.
We don't. They don't. And we have pure cotton shirts.
Pure cotton.
Only the finest designs.
If it's hot outside, it'll breathe.
It'll breathe. It's cotton, 100% cotton. And it was designed, the design on the front that you'll be wearing from the Fam Scallions, Carina Weber. She designed it.
That's right, man.
And, can I do the inspirational moment for today, Joe?
Inspire us, my friend, please.
If we've learned anything from the Panama selection team, is like maybe in your own life you feel like everything kind of like is going against you. Karma is against you. But guess what? It can go for you as well, as seen in the qualifiers for the World Cup. So it's better to have a positive attitude. You always keep fighting. You always keep playing. You never fall down. You never give up in the 88th minute. You keep playing. And you know what? Before you know it, all the odds are going to be stacked in your favor. And you're going to end up with a big old smile on your face.
That's right.
So if you want more smiles on your face, tune in every Sunday at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, U.S., and every week you're going to be with the Rapscallions, me and Joe. We're bringing the flavor. If you have ideas for a show, please let us know in the DMs. Joe, I think you had some suggestions. Maybe you can mention that to the people out there. And,
We've had people reach out to us.
Yeah.
We've had people reach out. They've been saying, yo, can we talk about the environment and how the pandemic has affected the environment? Definitely can.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about the environment and the pandemic, let us know. And you can talk about it with us.
Talk about it with us. And also on PanamaRP.com, not only can you order t-shirts, totes, and cell phone covers to protect your phone, you can also press the little button from Patreon or Ko-Fi and buy us a coffee. Nowadays, coffees at Starbucks with all that pumpkin spice and all that stuff are worth like $15. Totally. So you know what? Why don't you just pass on a coffee for one day and pass that cheddar on to the Rapscallions? We can use it. As you've seen from this show, Joe did a lot of research. A lot of research goes into every episode, and we're willing to do shows for you. Some of the other suggestions have been the history of different town sites in the Canal Zone, which would probably be a lot of research. We're very happy to do that. Let us know if you have ideas. Joe, send us off, man.
Guys, we love you. Care for you. We just want to do good things. We want to do good things to make you guys enjoy your Sunday afternoons with us, kicking it old school. So, hey, just tune in, tell people about the Rapscallions, and let's do some wonderful things, man.
Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
J-O-E in the place to be. HB on the track, it's like ecstasy. Rolling a well of 7 years, what we drink and be. Trying to sling the dopest rhymes in the galaxy. Let me take a minute though and relax your mind. Sometimes these words can be hard to find. 24/7 on that daily grind. Hearing voices in my head, man, they not that kind. Cause bitches be bitching, snitches keep snitching. The world keeps turning, and I keep hitching a ride instead of living my life. Yo, 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 yo.
Man, when you feel hungry, don't you have to eat?
Yo, yo, pump up the volume and digest this beat.
Rapscallions in the house with this lyrical truth.
When we're done with you, you're gonna ice your feet.
If the world ends tomorrow and you had one chance,
Hey, yo, would you start the move like it's your last dance?
yo, do something small in the past and present changes.
Do something now, the future rearranges.
Cause bitches keep bitching.
Yo, snitches keep snitching.
The world keeps turning.
And you start living your life instead of hitching a ride. Rapscallions.